Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another video. So before we get started with this video, I wanted to say that by the time this video is posted, we might have actually hit 1,000 subscribers, which would be pretty cool. I think right now I'm like 8 or 9 subscribers away. So that's pretty awesome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting. I've had this channel for a while now. I think I've been like making actual videos on here since 2017. You know, I don't really have like a very specific goal with this channel other than to consistently make videos and see what resonates, what you guys like, what kind of videos I like to make. The growth has been pretty fast within the last few months, and I've noticed a lot more interaction as well. For a while there, it felt like I was just kind of making these videos for myself, but now it seems like other people are actually watching, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, in this video, I wanted to look through an issue of a comic. I'm not sure we've done that yet on this channel, but I thought this might be a good way to introduce a new style of video where we just kind of go through an issue of comics that I really like and enjoy the artwork in. If I do more of these in the future, chances are they're probably going to be from a specific era of comics, which is like mid 90s, late 90s, maybe even some early 2000s. That's when I was very actively collecting comics. Every week I would go to the comic store. I just felt like there was a lot of really interesting things going on, especially in the superhero genre. I don't really follow that stuff nowadays. So if I do buy a comic off of Comixology, it's most likely from that era. This one is a memorable one for me because I was collecting X-Men at the time, and then I bought this issue, and they just announced this new artist, Carlos Pacheco, and I was really blown away by the artwork in this issue. I haven't looked at this issue in so many years, so I'm just sort of flipping through it now, and one of the things I'm noticing and remembering that really stood out to me at the time was the way he drew hands. His hands have so much personality and life and action and power to them. It was one of the things that I really loved about Joe Mad's artwork, because he had those like chunky, thick fingers on his characters that he would draw, and I felt like Carlos Pacheco was kind of taking that to another level, because they were like slightly more anatomically correct, but he would put them in these really interesting, extreme kind of positions. Sometimes what winds up happening is when you remember something being really cool as a kid, and then you look at it again as an adult, it doesn't really hold up. And all the things that you've digested and experienced since you were a kid has kind of changed your outlook on things. So when you go back to look at the things that you thought were cool when you were a kid, they kind of look crappy. But this is definitely not the case. Looking at it now, it's fantastic to see. But I mean, look at this splash page right here. Wolverine shows up, and geez, he looks fucking awesome. This is the era of X-Men when Wolverine was kind of like, I forget what happened. His mutation started to go into like overdrive, so he became almost like an actual Wolverine, like very much like an animal. It must have been like a year or two where artists were drawing him like this. He had like actual fangs, long nails, and all that kind of stuff. But this is such a cool image right here. Like if you want a splash page and you want to have an impactful moment, this is the way to do it. The anatomy is like so extreme and so overly done, but it works really, really well. Also, like, check out the beautiful spotting of blacks here. Just the way he kind of throws part of that arm back into the distance. That whole leg in the background is completely black. One of the things looking at this again that I remember that I loved about Carlos Pacheco's art was the way he drew hair. It's something that, to be honest, to this day when I'm drawing hair, I'm sort of like channeling. I always remember the way him and also Chris Pitilli would draw hair in a similar way when he was working on Uncanny X-Men. Like the strands would clump together in these masses, and they had so much life and movement to them. It's a subtle thing, but when you're drawing action scenes and superhero comics, if you could give personality to just the hair of a character, it really helps them come to life. It really helps put them in motion. It's really cool. It's something that I kind of want to revisit and do like a little like study of his art, try to copy some of that stuff so I could get it into my understanding of hair when I'm drawing it. But I mean, this was Carlos's first issue on this book. He wound up staying on X-Men for a couple of years at least. I remember I literally bought every issue he drew. I followed this whole run, and he just kept getting better and better. And the way he's able to draw environments, architecture, indoor and outdoor. This is going back, this is March 97 when this issue came out. And so this is very much before digital comics. So this was all drawn on paper. There were no 3D SketchUp apps or anything like that. It was most likely just, photo reference from magazines and books, maybe very early stages of the internet. But other than that, it was just a really strong understanding of perspective and a very strong imagination to go along with it. I mean, but yeah, look at Jean Grey's hand right here. Like just this panel right here, you don't even see a face or a whole body, but that hand and then the hair, so much motion and action in there without even showing a facial expression. I remember at the young age of 12 or 13 or whatever I was, that was so impactful. Little panels like that. I would try very hard to replicate that as much as I could and copy it and try to understand, like, how is he getting his hands to look like they're so 3D? There's also like a lot of dialogue and a lot of words on these pages. That's one of the things I remember from certain writers of superhero comics back then. Some books more than others were just so wordy. And for better or for worse, sometimes I think certain stories call for more dialogue and narration, and I think other stories work better with less of that. But with that being said, there's a lot of space here that's being taken up just for words and word balloons and narration boxes, yet a lot of the art is still being able to shine. It doesn't feel like anything is being cramped up or squeezed in. And I think that's just a testament to Carlos Pacheco's understanding of composing a page and composing a panel. He's purposely composing it in a way that the letterer has room to add all that dialogue in there if need be. Yet all the characters are shown, the environment is shown, and nothing important is being covered up. This is a great page right here because it highlights a lot of things. There's a lot of really great architecture happening. There's interesting panel design and panel layout. I mean, if you count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 panels on this page, which is a lot of panels. But it doesn't feel overly crowded. He's kind of doing an interesting thing there with the first 2 panels where it's pretty much one panel, but he's breaking it up into 2. There's some really nice architecture, sense of place. And there's nothing on this page exciting really happening. There's no explosion, there's no fight scenes, there's no one in a costume, yet it's very dramatic. There's some really great character acting going on. There's some really intense, moody lighting happening. And that's really the mark of a very strong comic book artist. Someone who's able to do both really, really well. And from what I remember of this era of X-Men comics is that it had a really great balance of action, adventure, fight scenes, all that fun stuff. But then there was always a chunk of the issue that was just the X-Men hanging out in the mansion or, playing baseball. And artists like Carlos Pacheco were able to make those kinds of scenes interesting and fun and come to life. And they seemed to be just as excited to draw that stuff as they were to draw like the classic superhero stuff. And for the reader, especially me back then, that went a really long way because it helped you kind of really believe that world that the X-Men were in. It helped bring the characters to life. It made them feel relatable, human. And then it ends with a classic double-page spread, impending doom, an introduction of next month's villains. And man, this was a really great run. Like I said, I think he was on this book for probably 2 years. If you guys like this, maybe I'll make some more videos on Carlos Pacheco's work. As far as superhero stuff goes, he's one of the ones that really stands out to me, one of the ones I really remember. As far as I know, I think he's still making comics. Last I saw, he was doing some stuff for DC. It seems like over the years, his style has evolved and changed. It looks very, very different nowadays. But this era of his style really, really rang true to me. I really love this stuff. There were, during this time, a lot of like Joe Madureira kind of wannabes. A lot of people were trying to take that American meets Japanese thing and put it together and bring it to superhero comics. But I feel like Carlos Pacheco was kind of a part of that style and movement in comics, but he happened to do it really, really well. My understanding is that he is, I want to say Spanish. I think he's from Spain. And so perhaps some of the thing that I'm tuning into now, and even when I was a kid, was that there was sort of like this, maybe a European influence, a different kind of attention to detail, atmosphere, pacing, page layout. And I feel like he brought that sensibility and blended it with American comics really, really well. I should also credit the rest of the creative team on this issue. It was Arty Bear on inks. If anyone remembers 90s comics, Arty Bear was like, one of the main inkers back then. And pencilers, by the way. He used to do, he took over, I think, for Jim Lee when Jim Lee left X-Men. Who was doing colors on here? It says Chris Leitner and Liquid. Oh, Liquid Studios, yeah. The colors are awesome. Scott Lobdell on the plot. Oh, they broke it up. Scott Lobdell and Ben Rabb on script. So that's something you don't see as much anymore. I don't know if they still do that in mainstream comics, where they would actually break up the writing duties from plot and script. But that goes back to a recent video I made about Marvel style of writing. If you're interested in the whole Marvel method of writing, check out that video. Solid issue, a lot of fun action. It's cool. I might have to buy some more of these old X-Men issues on Comixology. Check them out. It's making me want to look at more of Carlos's work. But thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more of Carlos's work, Google it, Comixology it, go to your comic shop and look for some of his stuff. Also, if you want to see maybe another video where I look at some of his work a little bit more in depth, I'd be happy to do that as well. So thanks again for watching. Once again, thanks for getting us to 1,000 subscribers, if we are, in fact, at 1,000 subscribers by the time this video is published. And thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.